Hi guys, Dr. B here. This is our brief lecture intro into types of bonds. So yesterday when you worked on your sharing is caring assignment, you saw hopefully the different types of bonds that we're going to talk about. Ionic, covalent, and the two types of covalent are polar and nonpolar. So something that you need to think about is how do the periodic trends we've talked about, how do they correlate with an atom forming an ionic or covalent bond with another atom? So like, does the radius affect it? Does its ability to attract electrons affect it? Or how about the energy needed to remove a valence electron? How does that affect its ability to form an ionic or a covalent bond? So like I said, the three types of bonds we're going to look at: ionic, nonpolar covalent, and polar covalent. Hopefully you watched the Tug of War video with the coaches to help you understand how bonds are formed. So the first one is ionic. That occurs when an atom in the bond is a lot more electronegative than the other one. The electrons are stolen by the more electronegative atom, giving it a charge. So they're stealing atoms, stealing electrons. So the two examples, which one shows an ionic bond? So you saw Coach Brody and Coach Rev. Well, he's not here anymore, but it's fine. Coach Rev, you saw Coach Flores and Coach Brody. So you can say that when you watch Coach Brody and Coach Rev do the Tug of War, the second one, you have one that's really, really strong compared to the other one and steals his electrons, so to speak. So of the two, you would say Coach Rev is the more electronegative atom compared to Coach Brody. Because one atom holds both of the bonding electrons so tightly, you end up with ions. An ion is an atom or molecule with a net electric charge due to the loss or gain of one more electrons. So the ability to gain or lose electrons, that we've talked about that before, the type of ions that are going to form. So you have your cations, which are positively charged, and metal. Anions are negatively charged and usually non-metal. So what is responsible for their attraction or for their interaction with each other? It is the electrostatic attraction between two oppositely charged ions. That's what forms an ionic bond. So when you gain an electron, you become more negative, you get a negative charge. When you lose an electron, you become more positive, you get a positive charge. Electrons in a bond are shared between atoms in a covalent bond. So of the two examples we saw, which one shows a covalent bond? Well, you can say Coach Flores and Coach Brody in the beginning, they're pretty much deadlocked. They were pretty much sharing electrons, so to speak, because nobody really moved. Eventually, you saw that actually there was no other really covalent bonds at all other than just the beginning for Coach Brody and Coach Flores. So there are two types, polar and nonpolar. So in a nonpolar covalent bond, two atoms share electrons equally, and they stay right in between. Neither side is positive nor negative. So it's a bond between two nonmetal atoms that have the same or similar electronegativity and equal share of electrons. A polar covalent bond, bonding electrons are still shared, but the sharing is not considered equal. The electrons are pulled closer to one atom than the other, resulting in a partial positive, partial negative side. Each of these sides are called dipoles. So a polar covalent bond is between two nonmetals that have different electronegativities and have an unequal sharing of the bonding electron pair. So this dipole here, so the symbol for a dipole is a lowercase d in Greek and can either be positive or negative. So the one that's going to have the more partially negative dipole, it's going to be the more electronegative atom. All right, so that's it for now. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks. Bye.